Assalamualaikum. Hello and welcome to Gurukul Online Learning Network. Today I'm instructor Sheikh Mahadi. We're going to study finance and banking. Same as that, chapter 4, financial statement analysis. So today we're going to discuss about break-even analysis. What's a break-even analysis? Break-even analysis is a technique for studying the relationship among fixed cost, variable cost, sales volume, and profits. Within these 5: fixed cost, variable cost, sales volume, and profit. It's also called the cost or the cost volume / profit analysis, CVP, as we know mentioned there. CVP analysis. This analysis is used by the firm to determine the level of operation necessary to cover all operating costs and to evaluate the profitability associated with various levels of sales. This first step in finding the operating break-even point is to divide the cost of goods sold divided by the operating expenses into fixed and variable operating costs. Simply, operating break-even point is the level of sales at which companies earning before interest and tax, which is commonly known as the EBIT, is zero. That means the company's earning before tax is zero. In other words, break-even point is the sales at which all fixed and variable operating costs are covered. The required sales volume can be expressed in units or taka, like 35,000 units, or in 3,050,000 taka. So that's a different topic. We'll get to that later. So fixed costs are a function of time. A fixed cost, that cost remains constant in tools regardless of the changes of level of activity. Like fixed cost, you open a company and your fixed cost for your production is 5 lakh taka. If your company is blown to dust, gone to ashes, your fixed cost will remain the same of 5 lakh taka. So that's a fixed cost. That's different. It's not related to sales volume. Fixed costs are typically contractual. Rent is a good example of fixed cost. Yes, rent. Suppose you rented a place or rented a farm or rented a land, your rent will be constant. Rent will be fixed due to weather or climate change. Nothing, or the market is going upwards, the market is going downwards. Your rent will never be up and down. Your rent will always remain constant. So that is a good example of fixed cost. Variable costs are directly with sales, are a function of volume, not type. What's a variable cost? Let me tell you again. Variable costs are varied directly with sales, that are a function of volume but not time. A variable cost is a cost that varies in total direct proportion to the changes in level of activity. That means the level of activity of sales. That's how the variable cost always fluctuates. It goes up, it goes down. So let's take an assumption into the break-even analysis. So selling price is constant. Selling price in the break-even math, selling price is always the constant, like the fixed price, like the fixed cost. The price of a product service will not change as the volume changes. Suppose first your unit was 500 and your sales per unit was taka 1. If your unit rushed up to 10,000, your sales will always have to be that 1 taka. You just cannot raise your sales amount, the price of your sales, as you're increasing your volume at the same time. That would be irrational. You have to keep it in a same ratio of 1:1 always. So secondly, costs are linear and can be accurately divided into variable cost and other fixed elements. The variable element is constant per unit and the fixed element is constant in total over the entire relevant range. So what does that mean? The variable element is constant per unit. As I said, units of sales or units of products or units of goods. The variable is bounded within that much unit, but the fixed element is constant all over the entire range. Like the fixed cost or the rent, it always remains constant all over the whole entire business. Number 3, in multi-product companies, the sales mix is constant. Multi-product companies, suppose it's a niche company or it's a general company. A niche company sells only one kind of tool. For suppose a TV of Samsung, they sell only one model of TV, which is the company is only Samsung. That's a different kinds of company. But a mixed product company where they still Samsung, LG, Walton, whatever, so many kinds of TV companies. That's a mixed company. That's a sales mix is constant. That means they are not selling only one kind of particular product. They are selling different kinds of different products. That's why they said the sales mix will always be constant in a multi-product company, unless the niche company. Fourthly, in manufacturing companies, inventories do not change. The number of units produced equals the number of units sold. What does that mean? manufacturing companies, what are manufacturing companies or manufacturing industries? Like they take raw materials like silk or cocoons and then they convert it into clothes, blankets, sheets, jackets, pants, bags, whatever we may name it, sometimes carpet and sometimes even beds used in the far villages. So their inventories do not change. What are inventories? Inventories are the products that things, goods, products, materials, whatever those are, those things are all included, called the inventories. Those do not change ever in a manufacturing company, because in a manufacturing company, as I said, of wool, silk or cocoon, if you do not have those, you cannot make clothes. So that's why those products always has to be a constant in manufacturing companies. The number of units produced is equal to the number of units sold. That means if you produce a unit of 500,000 clothes, you have to sell that 500,000 units of clothes. So that's how in manufacturing companies the units are produced equally, and equal number of produced and equal are sold. Those are ratios of always 1:1. That can be said without any kinds of question. So let's take a look at the break-even points equation, or what are the terms called. Firstly, over here, the RPG, it's just a normal math. The fixed cost, we'll take the fixed cost, fixed operating cost, which is known as the FC. Price per unit is known as the P. Variable cost is VC, and the break-even sales quantity, that means the total entire break-even analysis, the break-even point, it will be named as the Q. So we had a very simple equation to take out the break-even EBIT. As we learned in the previous lesson, the EBIT in case of 0, we have to take out the break-even analysis maths. So we'll take a few of this EBIT and then we'll finally convert it into the break-even formula. The EBIT shows a different equation, and the break-even analysis math, it shows a different equation. So EBIT, it will be P is equal to the sales per unit. Q, the Q is the sales quantity of units. FC is equal to the fixed cost, and VC is the variable cost. So let's break down this equation. P into Q minus Q into VC minus FC. So we'll take the Q in common. So the Q into P minus VC, how did it come? If we take the Q in common, the P minus VC, the minus interacts with this and makes it the minus form. That's why Q will take the Q in common and P minus VC. P means the production and V is the variable cost, and FC, it remains as same as this, the FC. So as we know, earlier in the chapter, we discussed that mentioned the operating of the break-even point of the level of sales at which the company EBIT is 0. So we can rewrite the following equation as this: Q into F, just this front line, Q into P minus VC minus FC is equal to 0. It's our equation, we have to solve it now. So let's take Q into P minus VC. We'll take the FC to the other side in terms of 0. So the minus will be converted into plus. And then we'll finally take the Q over here, and the P minus VC, it was in a multiplication form with the Q. If we take the P minus VC over to this side within the bracket, it will be P minus VC, that will be divided by the FC. That's how we get Q is equal to FC divided by P minus VC. That's the basic formula of the break-even equation. So now we will do a math for that one. So as mentioned, I saw here RPG logs. RPG logs the company's fixed operating cost, which is the FC, is taka 45,000, and the P, price per unit, is taka 120, and the variable expense is taka 60. Variable expense is the VC, and the break-even sales unit quantity in units, that would be Q. We'll take that into notification later. So let's take a look at the maths. Q is equal to FC divided by P minus VC. That's the basic formula for our break even. So what was our FC? Our fixed cost was 45,000 or 45K. Our P, price per unit, was 120. 120 into our variable expense was 60. So let's take a look at the math. We'll take 45,000 120 into 60, that means 6 12s are 6 12s are 72, that will be 7,200. So 45,000 divided by 7,200, that will take us up to a unit, sorry, that will be minus, so sorry, minus. If we minus that, we'll get 60. So 45,000 divided by 60 will get our sales unit of taka, sorry, not taka, that will be 750 units, and that units will be as Q, the sales unit, as we say, break even sales quantity in units. Sales quantity in units will be 750. So the operating break even unit will be Q into the P. Q into P. Our Q is 750 into, what was our P? It was 120. So our last break even point measured in taka, it would be 750 into 120, it will be 90,000. So that was break even point for you. If you have any kinds of questions regarding this class, please let us know down in the comment box below, and be with Gurukul. Thank you.